watched it develop from a little tiny seed into a great big crazy plant. And it's wonderful. I love all the glitter and the fireworks and the plant. It's all crazy. When it comes to community projects, too much talk about process, and everybody goes, that's very nice, and we're all empowered, but so what? You know, where's the result? Where's the practical bit?
I'm a friend of Ted's, and I also worry about Ted a lot because he keeps going over the top and getting involved in the most ridiculous things. And every once in a while, he does something that's really spectacular.
Go both ways.
BEECH CROFT Road in Oxford. It's a busy little cut-through, which makes life for the residents a little hazardous. They often find themselves in the road, given the state of the pavements. So one householder has taken matters into his own hands.
I'm tied to you, you're tied to me.
Welcome to Folk Traffic Calming, a fake speed camera, a washing line, and the Mega Bunny.
When you're confronted by socks and, well, a giant bunny, you might not understand why they're here, but you certainly slow down.
The police have also been round and told him to take his camera down. And the day he parked a bed and sofa on the street,
we'd set up a living room in the middle of the street, and the chap came by in a 4x4 and repeatedly smashed into the furniture. The first incidents of room rage.
When cities start to be designed in such a way that the experience of being a pedestrian, a bus user, or a cycle user are actually better than the experience of being in a car, then I think we'll really see a huge cultural change. The Roadwitch began in 2002 as a Halloween prank. We had a lot of kids out for trick-or-treat. They're running around, stoked up on sugar, wearing dark costumes, and we've got cars in the mix. So what we decided to do was set up a fake accident between my car and a family of witches, dummies with a road cone for a hat, and that was our first Roadwitch. It looked pretty grisly. There was green gore all over the windscreen, police tape and cones, smoke and flashing lights. And of course I had a ring of ghouls looking around the scene. So any driver coming by slowed way down.
Right, that's quite an unusual speed bump they've got there.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
This is remarkable. What are you attempting to do here?
House.
Right, we'll let them through. Carry on, please. This is a problem with having your living room in the street. You do get cars.
Was our castle and our keep. Our house.
Are you all residents here? Yes. You all live along the street?
Yes.
This feels like a real community. We've got
It
generations
is very
here.
much thanks to Ted. Ted changed a lot.
Really?
He's done so much for the street, you know, making it an area where children can play and cycle and be free from the traffic.
So if you could have all the streets back just for you, what would you do with it?
It would be quite good because you could play outside more and you wouldn't have to worry about how the car, worry so much about the cars running you over.
When you're in a car, you're used to a very predictable environment. And when you do things like put a living room in the street, you're suddenly making things unpredictable, suddenly engaging people.
I couldn't believe it, yeah. There's a lot of smiling and a lot of waving. Hardly anybody across. Most people seem to genuinely enjoy it. If you make a street that looks like nothing's going to happen, you can drive down it at whatever speed you like, people will.
Absolutely.
If it looks like anything could happen, then you'll be more cautious naturally.
The thing is,
Lunchtime lull.
Do you know this is the most relaxing time I've had in weeks?
fantastic.
An artist, an author, and an activist, and he has a very unusual story to share with us about good experience. Please welcome Ted DeWan.
One of the pleasures of being here in Copenhagen is the Danish really know what to do with the spaces in between the buildings. And I wish I could say the same about the UK.
I'm tied to you, you're tied to me. It's like we're on a high trapeze, and as we drift from side to side, we know there's nowhere left to hide. Don't let go, catch us when we fall. What we see in the cold light can scare.
Residents in part of Oxford hope that laying out pot plants and benches will encourage drivers using their street to slow down. It's one of the first places in the country to become what's called a DIY street.
Fed up of speeding traffic, a group of residents in North Oxford are redesigning their road. They no longer want Beech Croft to be dominated by cars, so they're introducing some ideas of their own. Residents have come up with a plan for this to be the city's first DIY street. If Oxfordshire County Council agrees to the plan, this is what the road could look like in future.
We felt that bumps all had their disadvantages and chicanes and things like that, and what we really wanted to achieve was a change in the psychological state of the driver. The driver's sometimes got to switch out of I'm driving down a main road to this is a residential street, I need to slow down and become more aware of my surroundings.
The neighbourhood group came together, setting out first the grand plan, and then through that process decided to break up into smaller groups, hamlets that personalise the space, and whatever it is, that chemistry of getting people to come to consensus happens in small groups. And it's just interesting how people learn to work through being as individuals and getting together to amalgamate egos. At one stage we had too many chiefs not coming up with a solution because we had to go through everyone, and I think that's the problem with having academics on the street. You've just got to get through it, and then you have to have that sounding off, let everyone be heard. Unfortunately it takes a long time, but in the end it makes a better outcome. The street party, it was really very exciting, laying out the bales of hay where the planters were to be, and then the fire engine turned up just to prove to get through the arrangement. There's no problem, and it turned into a real festive time and the kids went wild.
So we had diagrams of what colours would go where, and then we'd lay down tape.
We got organised to lay the carpet and start the whole masking process and laying out the diamonds, of actually getting that paint out before it dried out. Then we worked on painting the planters and preparing the planters with the wonderful glow dust.
Without a doubt, my favourite story's got to be the one about the Cheshire Cat. We had spent years discussing and going through different options for the planters on the street. One of the ones we bought, when it arrived, people started calling it the caveman's hot tub, and nobody wanted this thing anywhere near their house, and I was going crazy because we'd already spent a sizable portion of the budget on this thing. And it wasn't until two young girls, Emily and Olivia, who were only 10 and 8 at the time, they said, "Hey, can we paint a cat face on that?" And I thought, well, it's going to be in front of your house, why not? And that idea kind of took off, and in the end we found a way to use the safety reflective glass beads that were donated to us by Potters Europe. They were a safety material, but we also found we could use it as an art material. And so when you come driving on this road at night with your headlights on, this cat face lights up, and in the day it disappears, so it became the Cheshire Cat. It just goes to show you how important it is to get kids on any kind of community project like this, because I don't think an adult would have thought of this idea, and of course, without a doubt, it's the coolest idea in the whole project.
I was really quite concerned when I heard about this carpet that would be put outside my house, but actually the day after it happened I looked outside my bedroom window and I couldn't really believe what I saw, because instead of seeing a horrible flat piece of grey road, I saw this really interesting carpet on the road, and it seemed to sort of blend continuously with the houses, and it looks really, really nice, and it's very uplifting, and I'm really glad it's happened right outside my house.
I used to live in quite a small town where on the streets you could normally play on, and then I moved to the city a couple of years ago, and having like the first thing you do, meeting your neighbours, painting the street, very good way to meet people. So I know everyone now. I think it's unique, definitely.
Well, we do get a little bit of flack by a woman who doesn't even live on the road, just complaining about what a cheat we have to take over the road like this, and who do we think we are, and she was just having a rant.
We were keen to explore this as an innovative and alternative approach to heavy-duty traffic calming scheme. There were one or two technical aspects to whether things did or didn't comply, and there was a bit of a spread of views between our traffic management team and the local police. The average speeds were around about the very high teens, low 20s. Average speeds dropped comparable to the reductions that one would see with a more conventional traffic calming scheme.
You've got to take the initiative to do this instead of having it given to you.
I love the fact that people here did it themselves. I loved the big planter too, the enormous great thing. I want to see the Cheshire Cat smile. But it's a bit of a shame in a way that there aren't any cars coming through, because what I want to see most of all is how drivers respond to this.
I think it'll work well. Bicycle parking on the street, unheard of. I think there are enough queues to make it seem very different. And I think people in this part of Oxford have got used to it being different because of all the games that some of the residents, including Ted, have played in the street for the last 3 or 4 years.
Now it's very much a coherent whole. I don't know about coherent, but a whole.
People thought, ooh, what is Ted thinking of here? And here we are.
And what do you make of the
I think it's fantastic. I think absolutely fantastic. And the effort that the residents have put in is just unbelievable. I mean, people complain to me, oh dear, and what's happening in Beech Croft Road? I said, look, the County Council hasn't put in any money at all. This is the residents who have done this. A little bit of support from DIY Streets and Sustrans and from Esme Fairbairn Trust, and a little bit from the North Area Committee, just to help the last few pounds. But I think it's absolutely fantastic, and just can't get over this.
This is a great example here of a community doing something that has quite potentially big policy implications for the planners to think about street calming, but from a community managed point of view.
We're about to witness the official procession for the opening, which will be 2 Galician bagpipers, one of whom lives on the street. Yeah, they'll pipe us into the official opening ceremony.
A successful street is more than pretty roads and street furniture. It's about a group of people making their homes a friendly, welcoming community. Thank you, our fellow neighbours, for so much support and hard work for these last few weeks.
On behalf of Oxfordshire County Council, do you, Councillor Jean Fuchs, take Beech Croft as your adopted installation?
I do.
Forget endless speed bumps and road markings. A group of residents in Oxford have come up with their own DIY way of forcing traffic to slow down outside their homes.
Now, a group of people living in Oxford are so fed up with drivers speeding in their road that they've decided to take matters into their own hands.
Drive down BEECH CROFT Road in Oxford and you might think you'd stumbled across ITV's 60-minute makeover team.
Yes, that's because you'll find giant plant pots in the road, a so-called carpet and a welcome mat in the street which glows in the dark.
Calmly watering the planter, not in his garden, but standing in the street outside his home. Welcome to BEECH CROFT Road, where residents are trying to turn a rat run into what they call a living space. They could have had speed humps, but there's an active residents association here. With fundraising and grants and doing much of the work themselves, they've created the sort of street scene common in Holland.
Well, Sustrans has been working with the residents here in BEECH CROFT Road for many years, and we provide technical expertise, we provide advice from other schemes elsewhere in the country. This is a street carpet. It's meant to just draw attention again to the fact that this is a residential street, and you're going to find children on the street, people walking and cycling. This is a welcome mat to the street. It glows in the dark. There's a feature here which is a smiling Cheshire cat which lights up at night.
Walking down this narrow street with its colourful markings and planters, you get a real sense of community. The road is almost an extension of the front gardens. And when you drive, you realise how effective these traffic calming measures are. I haven't gone above 15 miles an hour.
The idea that we could soften this motorway and turn it into a garden through which vehicles went.
People previously saw two yellow lines down the street and some of them thought it was a racetrack, and they don't have that feeling now, and they are much calmer and more measured in the way they drive.
Don't be tempted to stick your pot plants in the road tonight. There was a long consultation process involving the police and county and city councils, but it can be done.
We wanted to have a greater use of the street for the residents, to have less interference from traffic and to have more amenity for the residents in the road.
You've got planters as well and other features up the street. All of this you've designed yourselves?
Yes, in consultation with all the members of the street.
It's a road for traffic and there's a lot of vans, workmen trying to get by, cars coming through. It's obviously the people involved are anti-car. It's obvious, isn't it?
Oh, cool! It's the cat! Some people, they make it as a bad idea.
Because it was such a weird idea. But this whole thing is a weird idea.
Shine for you, everything you do. Yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you, and all the things you do, and it was called Yellow. So then I took my turn. Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow.
You know, I didn't expect anybody to take me seriously. It was a Halloween prank. But look, this stuff is really heavy. You can't move it. It's here for a long time. It's going to be Halloween every night.
And slowing down is not a bad thing, because then we look at each other, look in the eye, and hopefully smile.
It's true. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the things that you do.
So